book on it, I'll direct you.
Okay, no.
No, you've asked me a question.
Let me studies physics.
All right, let me
I
ask.
want you to tell me what you think the laws of physics
Let me.
because physicists don't know. That's
Okay, well, let me answer your question. So as someone who studies physics, you're still an undergrad, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're in your first year?
Yes, I am.
All right, so someone like Martin Rees has wrote a book on just 6 numbers.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you should know, because this is a person who's actually outlined the 6 fundamental constants. Among them, for example, N. N he calls nature. He actually calls it N for nature, and he says that is, and that's when he was talking about the numbers that detail the laws of nature. For example, he mentions 6 different numbers: E, N.
Those are numbers of mathematics rather than physics.
They are physics. What are you talking about? What university did you study?
Imperial College London.
Okay, so I'm sure you're clever enough to know that when mathematics is applied to the cosmos, it's called physics. You've just done your A levels. You've just done.
I'm from Germany. I did my Abitur.
Okay, you've done that, so you know the deal, right? So I don't have to tell you that. I mean, I'm not a physicist, but you should know this.
Well, I know that physics is an attempt to mathematically describe the universe.
There you have it. So that's what Martin Rees said.
Model.
So good. Martin Rees done that. He got 6 numbers. He said, what are the rules? You can be described in different ways. Martin Rees has got his standard way.
What are those numbers except for E?
And he's got E equals N equals nature, which he said
which is mathematically meaningless.
No, let me. Why is it mathematical? He actually gave a number, which is 0.07.
What significance does 0.07 have?
Is it called physics when mathematics is applied to the universe or not?
Yes.
Okay, so when he says 0.07 is the number N, which is applied to the universe, is that physics or not?
How does he apply to the universe?
Well, look at E for example, right?
Yes. E
he looks at the right. So he says that's the conversion of helium into energy, for example.
No, E is. I mean, if we're talking about
epsilon, whatever it is,
well,
man.
Epsilon gets used for a lot of different things.
Right. So he uses it in his own way, and he gives his own articulation of it. Go check the preface of his book or the introduction.
Okay, look.
What's the argument?
What you're saying
what's
right
the
now is that there are 7 numbers which are important.
6.
6. Okay.
According to Martin Rees, he's an author.
6 numbers that are important.
Right.
How does this relate to the fundamental?
You said your question was that particles don't depend on anything; they're independent. I'm saying to you.
No, I'm saying you have to show that.
Do you believe that particles are independent?
Of what?
You said please don't retract your argument, because watch this, Josh. This is what Christian missionaries need to learn. Now, you're saying that particles are independent, yes or no?
I'm saying they're fundamental.
No, please. No, because you were trying to interrupt me when I was speaking to Aaron Ross.
To the best of my knowledge.
Yeah. Watch this, please.
What I'm basing this off is the standard model, which is the best model we have for the universe right now.
Right.
It's incomplete. All physicists admit that it's incomplete.
No problem. But Julia, you said that particles, fundamental particles, don't depend on anything. She said that.
Definitionally, they're not composed of anything else.
No. You said, unless you want to retract that statement, which is what every atheist does when they're in front of me. No, you said that fundamental particles don't depend on anything.
I believe that to be the case.
Right.
I do not claim that it's true.
Perfect. Now, do you believe that fundamental particles don't depend on anything?
I believe that to be the case.
Excellent.
But I'm not claiming that
Julia,
that's true.
thank you for saying that, because now what you've shown is that you believe in the existence of an independent being. But the only thing is, no, hold on. The only thing is now, no problem. But you accept, because before you were saying there was no such thing as a necessary thing. You're saying now that there is. Now hold on, Julie, and you're going to retract your statement, because that's what every atheist does in front of me. You said,
you're putting words in my mouth.
No, it's on camera. You said you believe, you just said it 2 minutes ago. You just said you believe that fundamental particles are not dependent on anything. By definition, what you're effectively saying is you believe fundamental particles are independent. Now, what I'm saying
technically, what I'm saying what I mean when I say fundamental.
Don't say what you mean. That's what you meant.
No. I'm just explaining what the standard model says.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
According to quantum field theory, fundamental particles are essentially just energy spikes in.
No problem. But your belief, and you use your belief.
Depend on energy.
Julia, you shouldn't have come here today and tried to challenge me, because what you've done. No, seriously, you should really think about it before you come and stand and make claims without revising it or thinking about it.
You need to
Julia, I don't need to show you anything. You shouldn't
have.
You shouldn't have come here, because what you've done now is you've given me exactly what I wanted. In the beginning, you said that I have to prove that there's a necessary independent being. Now you've just said you believe that fundamental particles are not dependent on your words exactly. You said I believe fundamental particles are not dependent on anything. Now all I'm saying as a Muslim is that my understanding of let me finish.
God is a muon.
Let me finish. No, your God.
I'm sorry.
No,
that was just a funny
it's my ears, you know. Yeah, your God is that. Now, the only difference between my God and your God is size. That's the only difference. Honestly, you need to understand, you're not an atheist anymore in front of me. I've converted you straight to Islam. The only thing you need to do, no. All you need to now believe in is the right attributes of God and the Prophet Muhammad as a messenger. And obviously, if you want to believe in Jesus,
we believe in Prophet, the messenger. An electron, a photon.
No, listen to me. You said that.
And also, I will
Julie. No, you don't need to add anything. You've given me exactly what I want to hear.
No.
You don't need to add it. You said that you believe that fundamental particles are independent. That's what she said. Not dependent on anything. That's the definition of independence. Now, if you believe in an independent entity, now let me tell you something from an Islamic perspective, and you have to understand this. Let me just finish. Sorry, let me finish. Let me finish.
Very misleading.
You said it.
Context.
Wait a minute. You said not dependent on anything. How could something be not dependent on anything and not independent?
Let me clarify?
Yes, please.
I think the word dependent is very misleading because fundamentally, even inside the standard model, things are interdependent. They're just interdependent on a fundamental level. And the thing is, I know that the standard model isn't complete, so there is some deeper layer somewhere.
So it's interdependent.
Right? Oh yeah, they're interdependent.
So what fundamental particles are interdependent?
Well, in the sense that everything relies on.
This reminds us of a conversation we had, isn't it? I know
As
you're
I
thinking.
said, particles are essentially just expressions of energy in a quantum field.
Julie, thank you. You're contradicting yourself. Because interdependence entails dependence. If you're saying that fundamental particles are interdependent, you're saying it's dependent. Then you said that it's not dependent on anything. That's a contradiction. Either you want to believe in this or that. And that's what atheists do. Josh, this is what atheists do. Julie, is there anything you want to add? Sorry, we're done here. Is there anything you want to add? Yes, of course.
You're talking about contingency. I understand it's a pity that people didn't give you a chance to give you a full argument. Is the Quran contingent?
No, absolutely not.
So we've got the Quran is not contingent.
No, because we believe it's an attribute of God.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? So
it's not an issue.
Well,
you asked the question. You thought I would say yes.
No, I knew you would say no.
Okay, no, you didn't. No, you thought I would say yes, but no, it didn't work.
So it didn't need God.
No, it is an attribute of God. The Quran is an attribute of God. It's a speech of God. It's a subgroup. The Quran is a subgroup of an attribute of God, which is speech. So it's
which came first?
No, it was there at the same time. It was always there. It's eternal. The Quran is eternal.
This is what you're saying, but I'm afraid it's not.
Thank you very much. Nice try. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's done. It's done. Honestly, it's done. Yeah.
You have the force cause argument by theologians that say everything is contingent on a necessary being.
Yes.
So this is the problem. Yeah.
Yes.
You're presupposing a necessary being, but
I'm not presupposing that.
Okay.
I'm arguing. No. That's a false understanding. And once again, you can read my book. It's called Kalam Cosmological Arguments. It's bestseller now on what do you call it? On Amazon. And the atheist. What's your name, my friend? Michael. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
You're a nice man. You didn't come like Julie with a hype and then have to leave with her head her tail between her legs.
Be nice, man. Be nice.
No. I like you. Huh?
Let's go back to the discussion.
No. I will do. But what I was gonna say to you, what's your name again?
Michael.
Sorry. I'm bad at it. Michael. Michael, here's the thing. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
In one way, because what you're saying is that we have to reason. Your assumption here, what I'm getting from you, is that we have to reason the independent being without assuming the independent being. And what I'm saying is that the independent, self-sufficient, necessary being that I've just described has to be understood because of the contrary proposition of there being only possible existences in the world being an impossible one. So to avoid impossibility, we have to believe in necessary being.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
I don't disagree.
So because
with that.
what we're trying to do as philosophers or as logicians is we're trying to avoid impossibilities, right? Because we know impossibilities cannot exist in the real world. And impossibility is where you have dependent things depending upon dependent things ad infinitum. If you go back to my example of the phone, I think you get my example now. I think you get my argument, by the way, now.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just thinking that the terminology that you're using, you're not defining them well. So what do you mean by necessary?
Necessary is something which could not have been any other way, number one. It's independent, so it's not dependent on anything. In other words, self-sufficient, right? And is eternal. So in other words, it's always the case, whether temporality is applied to it or not, that these qualities will always remain in the necessary existence.
So the Quran, outlining all the things that the recitation does outline, creates determinism, doesn't it, really? Which is the argument.
We believe in determinism.
You do believe in
determinism? Yes. We believe God is a determiner.
That everything is determined. No free will, I mean.
No, we believe in compatibilism.
Because if you're creating a Quran that's saying all of these things happened, talks about the Bible, talks about the past, talks about the future.
What's your name, sorry?
John.
John, yeah?
John, yeah.
I like you, John.
Then it's all determined, isn't it? And you don't you haven't really.
No, you're right.
You haven't, and it's no free will, and you haven't really demonstrated the way you tried to demonstrate to Julie and Aaron how the Quran and Allah can be non-interdependent, eternal, and not dependent on anything else, and yet the Quran is determined, is dependent
I get you,
all of the things that the Quran describes happening.
Clear. That's clear. I understand what you're saying. No, because there's a misunderstanding of the Islamic theology here. Let me make it very clear.
It was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yes. Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Ahmad and Mu'tazilis and Ahmad. I'm a Hanbali, right? So I follow Ahmad.
No.
Right?
Follow. I mean, I think a lot of people were killed over this, weren't they?
Well, not really. I mean, it's not as big as
people.
Not a lot, but there's some people were tortured over it. Yeah.
Okay, tortured.
Yeah, we were on the side of those guys. We're on the side of those guys that were tortured. So, in Islamic theology, the Quran is not created.
I know. Well, in your belief of that.
Yeah. No, it's according to the Sunni understanding, right? So, according to the Sunni understanding, it's not created. Obviously, the Mu'tazilis were a group of people that came extinct that believe it was created, but we don't believe in that. So, because it's not created, and they have their own theology, by the way. You have to go speak to them.
Contingent,
Yeah. So it's because it's not created. It's like I'm speaking to you now, right? Though I'm speaking to you now, my speech is part of my attribute. It's part of me, actually, right? Because my speech is part of me. So a speech is an attribute of me, but it's an attribute which is intrinsic to me. So in other words, the speech of Allah is intrinsic to Allah, and the Quran is a subset of that speech, meaning it's also eternal, just like Allah.
But you could say the same about reality.
It's inseparable from Allah.
You could say the same about reality. That reality is an expression of Allah. And
it's an expression of his attribute of creation.
Of creation.
Yeah,
so it is. So it's
no.
It's also
we differentiate.
Also eternal.
No. Because what we say is that it could have otherwise not been the case. So the universe can be taken out of existence, whereas Allah can never be taken out of existence.
I am so grateful to Allah for having guided me to Islam. Sadly, I am the only Muslim in my family. It hurts me that my parents haven't accepted Islam yet, and I ask Allah to guide them. But it also gives me a special drive to work for the establishment of Islam. I don't want anyone to miss the chance of becoming Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Muslims are like one body. If you can feel my pain, would you please help me relieve it? You are now my new family. Click the link and donate to establish this masjid and share in the reward for the message of Islam reaching the corners of Norway.